Finance Minister Eric Girard presented his economic update on Tuesday, and he let us know no more checks coming to help with inflation. The minister also said the next 6 months will be very difficult. Will Quebec be able to avoid a recession, and what does this budget mean for you? Finance Minister Eric Girard joins us now. Thank you so much for your time today, Minister.
Thanks for having me.
So I think out of the gate, the first thing I'd like to ask is what you would like our listeners to know about how this budget might make things easier for them.
We're going right at what are the social priorities of Quebec. We need more housing, so there's $1.8 billion to build 8,000 more units of social and affordable housing. We're going after homelessness with secured funding for the next 5 years. We're helping food banks, and we're helping adapt to climate change because we did have, as you know, a lot of forest fires last summer, and we have some job training program to have more construction workers, and all these are really social priorities. With respect to fighting the cost of living, well, the income tax system will be indexed by 5% next year. And so all the tax credit, the family allowance, the régime des rentes, all these things will help people with respect to the cost of living, and we expect inflation to be 2.7, so the compensation will be higher.
I feel like at a quick glance, this economic update has some relief for lower income Quebecers. I feel like there's not a whole lot in there for the middle class. Is there something that I'm missing?
Well, for the middle class, we didn't wait to act. What we have is a reduction in personal income tax that was in the last budget that started applying in Jan 1st, 2023, but really the deduction on payroll started in July, and the first 6 months will be on your income tax that you will file before April 30th. There's also the cap on tariff at 3% that we've implemented for 5 years, and there was for seniors the $2,000 tax credit. So when you compare provinces, we're the government that did the most to preserve the purchasing powers of our citizens, and even in spite of that, it's very difficult right now, and we understand that. And it's just a difficult period that we need to go through together because interest rates are too high, and inflation has come down from 8 to 4%, but we're going through a period of where there's basically no growth in the economy. Interest rates are high, inflation is still too high, and the next 6 months are going to be difficult.
The next 6 months are going to be difficult. So what exactly does that mean for the average Quebecer? Because I'm thinking, everyone's already having a hard time getting enough groceries to put dinner on the table, choosing between paying the rent, making that hydro bill payment. What does that mean, a difficult 6 months for Quebecers?
It means that the overall economy, which is the sum of all the action of the citizen, the consumer, the businesses, is in a period of stagnation where we have basically no growth. And in some cases, if you look at Canada, 6 of the last 7 months were either no growth or negative. It's a very difficult period. But if inflation comes down, as expected by the Bank of Canada, we should have relief from interest rate in the middle of next year, and that strong backwind, if we start having some accommodation with respect to interest rate, it will allow the second half of 2024 to be much better.
Okay, so a little bit of encouraging news. I'm just thinking in terms of, the numbers and stuff, and I feel like the average person trying to just make sense of all of this ultimately is probably feeling a little bit disappointed that those checks aren't going to come because they would have been, very timely with the holidays coming up. What is the ultimate decision behind not providing more checks to help Quebecers with inflation and cost of living?
Okay, so if you look back, like the tax system, the family allowance, the tax credit, the income tax bracket, the personal exemption for income taxes, Overall, the indexation of the tax system provides $400 per household in Quebec in 2024 because it's indexed at 5%. In 2022, the indexation was only 2.7% and inflation was 6.7% because the indexation had been set prior to the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. So we had 6.7% inflation, only 2.7% indexation. Therefore, we came with exceptional payments, the $500 for citizens in order to cope with the insufficient indexation of the tax system. Next year, indexation is going to be 5%, worth $400 per household, and inflation should be 2.7%.
Will we be able to avoid a recession?
It's difficult to say because we're very close to zero. Right now, stagnation is the correct word in the sense that there's no growth. Inflation is too high. We're hovering around 0%. So we could be lower and be in a recession, or we could be slightly higher and have small growth.
We're speaking with Quebec Finance Minister Eric Girard. You are also the minister responsible for relations with English-speaking Quebecers. So while I have you, I'd love to get you to weigh in on this latest situation with the English Montreal School Board. They filed a motion to have the right to communicate in English after being told by the OQLF, that's the Office québécois de la langue française, that essentially all communication, even internal, has to be done in French, even amongst English-speaking colleagues. Do you agree with this, Minister Girard?
Unfortunately, because there's a legal process associated with all this, I will not comment on this file. But I would certainly comment on probably your next question with respect to university tuition fees.
Okay, please go right ahead.
So I understand as soon as the announcement was made by the Minister Derry, responsible for higher education, I was asked by the rectors for a meeting, and within 24 hours I had met the three rectors and I listened to them. Their concern with their proposal, their desire to do more for their students to learn French during their experience at these three universities. And what I would say right now is that the communication lines are open. The three rectors met the Premier. They met the Minister Derry last Monday. I understand that they're still discussing, and as long as communication lines are open, I'm expecting positive development.
Okay, what would constitute? I really appreciate that you anticipated my question, by the way. You are a finance guy, you're a numbers guy. Surely you're looking at this and going, this is not good for Montreal, this is not good for Quebec. So what would a positive outcome in these circumstances be, Minister Girard?
I think I need to limit my comments because the person that is directly involved in these negotiations is Minister Derry. Mm-hmm. I had the opportunity to discuss these matters with the Premier, with Minister Derry, with Cabinet. They met the rectors. The communication lines are open. As long as they're talking, I'm expecting positive development.
I'm so curious what you mean by positive development. I respect that you're limited to what you can say, but my gut feeling is that you wish you were part of those negotiations. But we'll move on. Well, I've got time with you, Minister Girard. So the Prime Minister
I have enough on my plate, by the way.
Yes, I know you do. I know you do. And again, very much.
Minister Derry, she's in charge of the file, and she will bring the outcome in due time.
I do understand that, but I'm sure you also understand that as the minister responsible for relations with English-speaking Quebecers, we're needing to hear from you. We're needing to have some reassurances.
Yes, understood. So I've met with the rectors, and I understand their concerns.
Thank you. Okay, and then I'll ask you this before we run out of time. The Prime Minister, Premier Legault, were together today. It has been a really tough time for Montrealers. There are anti-Semitic, Islamophobic acts happening. Do you have any words of comfort to our listeners who are suffering?
Well, obviously, I think your words are right. These are very difficult times. The tension is running very high, and so we all need to do our share to keep what we have here, which is a fantastic place to live, very peaceful, where we all respect each other, irrespective of religious belief. And I think these tension, we don't want to import these tension here.
There's no place for it here in Quebec.
Correct.
I very, very much appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That is Finance Minister Eric Girard. He is also the minister responsible for relations with English-speaking Quebecers.